evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files here in the J Free 906 podcast. Tom Burns, Seth Bridges, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing well. Just sitting here waiting for the other shoe to drop.
The other shoe to drop.
The other boot.
The other. Nice, I like that.
No, okay, yeah, I see.
Doesn't matter. It's not a good joke if you have to explain it. So
no, I'm just slow tonight, apparently. And
Thank you, folks, for being here with us tonight. We appreciate that very much. We are going to be breaking down the episode, The Curse of Oak Island, Season 12, Episode number 18, If the Shoe Phips, which, after watching the show, several times, like I do preparing for the podcast, I'm like, why did they put Shoe and Phips together in the same... Isn't it the pipe fits? If the pipe smokes, it's, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, when you consider the dates, that makes a lot more sense. Right. It was not, as we'll discuss, it was not likely Phips is... it would not have fit.
The only connection you can make to Phips is that they thought the shoe might have been military.
Ah, right. Yeah, that's very true.
The boot wasn't.
The boot, yeah, exactly.
Oh, right, the boot, yeah. The shoe, you're right.
Shoe might have been military, but still in the wrong range, I think, for both of them.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, folks, again. And let's do something that Colin Jameson, our friend that we haven't heard from in a little while. We got talking to him again. He's been a busy guy these days. We'll hopefully get him back on the show before the season ends at some point. But he always would say, let us know where you're from. Many people have already done so. Hello from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Gremlin, you're probably pretty close to me then, if that's the case. Hi from Illinois. Let us know where you're from. We love to see that. We appreciate that very much. We are going to have a giveaway again tonight. It is going to be this right here. It's a hat, and it's a Oak Island. I guess that would be like a tree ornament. The tree ornament is from Linda, and the hat is from Michelle Tomeyer, if I remember correctly. Linda will be on in a little while, and we'll spin a roo for that, and we'll do the giveaway, and we'll explain how all that stuff works when we get there. So, there we go. Now we got some people popping in with that. Kansas City. Yeah, there you go. So, Springfield.
PEI.
Hey, Zane is here.
Hey, Zane, how you doing? Glad to see you.
People from Alberta.
Yeah,
I'm in Texas. Any Texans?
England. Joe from England. Yep.
Glen Falls, New York.
Nova Scotia.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Yep.
Houston. Oh, nice, friend.
Australia.
Yep. Buffalo. I was just in Buffalo last weekend.
We have we have so many Australians in our group, right? Isn't that our number one, other than Canadians and Americans?
I think it's one of our number one groups.
Yep.
That's cool.
It is. That's pretty crazy.
Thanks y'all for watching.
Yeah, Brenda keeps track of all that stuff. We appreciate that. And don't forget, Linda is down. She's working the chat, so be good out there, or you'll get the boot.
You get the boot. The other boot.
The
other boot. That's what the other
boot. You get the boot where you don't like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in with us here tonight. We're going to have a good time. I wanted to mention, too, a couple things real quick. If you haven't already, we appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bell so you know when we have new content coming out. I'm going to be cutting up some snippets from the podcast that we did last Thursday with Jan Franke. Jan has been out at Oak Island. He did the GPR down the borehole PVC pipes. He did that work there. That didn't really result in anything, but we did talk about that a bit on the podcast. And he's also been at Skinwalker Ranch, done some work there. He's been at the pyramids. We had a lot of talk about that. The new information that's out about the pyramids, the claims that there's this big structure underneath. So it was a lot of fun, and he had so much technical information to share with us. Thankfully, he put it in layman's terms.
His pictures weren't bad either, especially the pyramid ones.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, man. He's a wealth of knowledge. He will be back, by the way, because he has some other work he would like to share with us coming up. So figure about midsummer time frame, and he'll be back on the show. So we'll have some snippets coming out, some shorter little clips of that I'll be putting out. And also tomorrow night, for those of you who are Skinwalker Ranch fans, Pete, Kelsey, and Eric Bard live right here on the J Free 906 podcast. We're going to have them two guys on for a little while. Not sure who else may pop in. There's been a lot of stuff going on on the ranch these days. Pete's been out there for a couple weeks. They've been doing a lot of different exercises. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can talk about a lot of this. If you are an insider with the Skinwalker Ranch Insiders, you may have already seen much of going on because thankfully they've been showing us on there. We got to see a lot of it. So it's really, really cool stuff. There's no filming going on yet. So that's when they can, share some of these things. So tomorrow night, Pete Kelsey and Eric Bard, 7:30. So, all right.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Let's go.
What do you think? Let's jump in. All right. The Curse of Oak Island. If the Show Phips, odd name, but anyway, they like to throw these at us. The guys start off as always, or as often, start off right there in the Money Pit area, and they were wrapping up the work on RP1, Rick's Pick 1. And they were looking to get down to about 118 feet. That was the depth of the shaft 6, right? And they hit wood. I mean, they were hitting wood. I think within like 30, 40 feet, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like
well,
that?
I mean, at top 30, 40 feet, I mean, who goodness knows what's left over because it's been dug and redug. And so stuff down below 90 feet that I'm interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they were finding a lot of wood, and then they get down toward the bottom of that in around 114 feet or so, and they were still hitting quite a bit of wood. The interesting part about this is that the wood that they were finding was from what appeared to be two different types of wood from two different eras. You had some that looked more adze cut with an adze, hand hewn beams. And then some that weren't so.
Yeah, which makes sense because I'm just going to read that section again too from Scott
Please.
Clark's book.
Yep.
That when they talked about the Money Pit collapse, going down into that 17-foot, now 18-foot tunnel because it collapsed, the West Pit, and filled it up by 7 feet. So we know it went down across 18 feet and basically pushed it back up at least 7 feet into that shaft
back
6.
Up this way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So at least 7 feet. Yeah.
Right.
So that's a lot of pressure.
It is a ton of pressure. And that's really why the guys were spending so much time, if they're, excuse me, if they're coming down shaft 6, okay, so this is supposedly shaft 6. If they're coming down shaft 6 with a caisson, they're hoping to get down to the bottom and get some of this material here that would be from both shaft 6 and from the original Money Pit and or vault boxes, treasure boxes, these containers or vaults or whatever. All that would have been down there and pushed into a big jumble at the bottom. And that's why they were looking to find both. They were also hoping to find the one thing, a piece, a silver coin or a couple of coins or some treasure of some sort while they were down there. One thing too that I wanted to point out from this picture, which is kind of cool because they didn't usually show this until recently. It was the length and width. Tom, do you remember shaft 6?
What's that now?
The how big it was?
Dimensions? No, I don't.
Was it? It wasn't 6 by 12 or
no.
I don't remember.
No, they didn't give me the dimensions here.
If anybody in the chat knows already, because there's a lot of, I know you guys have all the quite a few answers that we don't have. If anybody knows,
the horizontal tunnel that they did was 3 feet by 4 feet.
Okay, yeah,
but I don't know how big the shaft was. Going, oh yeah, you're on your hands and knees.
Yeah, very small.
Coach says 14-ish wide.
14-inch wide. Okay, all right. I don't recall, and that's a good question. I should we'll see if we can't find out for you there on that one, because I know for a long time they weren't exactly sure where shaft 6 was. And they did some exploratory boreholes just to make sure they had found it.
Well, Coach is probably pretty close to right, because if you look, if the diagrams are to scale and the toonies are to scale, and if each toonie is 7 feet, they put the 2 toonies over top of shaft 6, so that would make it 14 feet.
Very true. Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly what he just said. Yeah, 2 caissons fit in the rectangle.
Oh, there you go. Great minds think alike, Coach.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Here, Coach.
Yep. So so one of the good things about this, and like I said, that they haven't shown too much, was this right here. This little thing going.
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah. Now I'm wondering, why did they all of a sudden add this extra little portion to this picture recently? This was not on the pictures that they always showed. And believe me, folks, watching the show, you've seen this little thing of the collapse, what this picture is from, many, many times, right? But they never really had this little thing here. So I'm wondering why that is. Keep that in mind as we go through the future episodes here.
Yeah, because they show the debris going down in there as well.
Somebody on a podcast, when we had 3 people on the show from Oak Island, asked that question. Could it have fallen deeper? And even Marty mentioned it on the show last night. He said something about it falling deeper. And now we see this on the graphic. So just hold that in the back of your thoughts.
Yep. Save that photo.
Save that. Yes, save that photo. I'll be saving this photo. You can bet on that, right? All right. So as they were digging down there, they were finding a couple of different types of cut wood. What some looked like it was hand-hewn beams, and some that wasn't. That's exactly what they were hoping to find. As well as some treasure, some coins, the one thing that Rick's always been looking for. Something that was said while this was all going on was by Craig. He said a lot of fractured wood came up. Fractured wood. Now, we know that when that when the caisson is making its way down in there, and it hits the side of a tunnel or the side of a shaft or anything like that, as it's going down, it's going to be ripping and tearing and, cutting wood as it's going down. And then when the hammer grab goes down and grabs it, you're getting a lot of these pieces that are just naturally ripped all up on the sides. That's different than what Craig is referring to. He's talking about fractured wood, which from the collapse is what he's talking about. Now, I would not be able probably to tell the difference. They can, because they've seen lots of wood that has been cut by the caisson. So they would be able to decipher that is better than I can.
It makes me think of how, Jeff, you often say, people will often, more wood. What's the big deal? Well, this is where it pays off, that they've seen so much stinking wood. These guys are wood experts, they if this ever, they ever find the treasure and they leave the island, they've got a lot of knowledge that I'd be interested to see how they could apply this to, the job elsewhere. Because I feel like they have invaluable knowledge of all the different types of woods, the age range, the cuts, what is a fracture versus, getting torn up by the drilling program. It's so cool. And then dendrochronology, these guys are experts in the woods. So I think it's really important and pays off, and is a testament to what you say. It's important. This wood is telling a really important story.
Yes, it is.
And I've always felt like the money pit is confusing to me. But this season, I feel like they're really honing in on the story and date ranges and getting an idea more than ever before of, how and when this was done. So it's so exciting. This felt like, even though it was kind of a bummer episode in some ways, because it's always a bummer when you get to the bottom of a caisson and call it, but it was really fun to rewatch.
Yeah. And that's the big thank you for that. And I appreciate your pointing that out. And that was the big takeaway from this particular caisson, was the fractured wood, the wood of different types. Correct. And hopefully different eras. That was the big takeaway from this one. So when they got to the end of it and they said, okay, it's a wrap, let's call it, and walk away from this one and pull it up. fill it in and all that. Obviously a bummer again. And we're like, oh, another bust. No, it really wasn't a bust in my mind, because I think what they had concluded from RP1 was that there definitely was a collapse of some sort.
2 different types of wood is the big thing.
Exactly. So, and that's what he was talking. That's what they really wanted to, and that's what I wrote down when they got to the war room and they decided, and we'll get there in just a minute. They talked about it. It confirms the record of the catastrophic collapse that took place. So that is the important part of RP1 that came out of it. Wish they would have found some coins or something like that, but they didn't. So the one thing I grabbed this picture here because of what came out of this particular hammer grab, and I don't know what it is, and they didn't talk about it on the show. But if you notice this right here, this, I don't know what this is. I saw it come out. They never talked about it. They never mentioned it or anything. And then when they're looking at the piles of wood that Rick brought over, is that the same stuff? I don't know.
I don't know.
Not really sure what that is.
It looks like some sort of black PCP pipe to me.
Yeah, it does.
Because if it was rope, it would be limp, fall down. There wouldn't be any.
Yeah, and you'd see threading to it. There's nothing. There's no texture.
That bottom piece looks pretty shiny.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure what it is. I mean, it's
there's a big broken PVC pipe right underneath that. So
yeah, this is PVC pipe down here on the bottom. This thing here, and they often do get those in the hammer grabs because they will sometimes, when they're doing the hammer grab, they'll go down. Remember how the drill will walk, and they put PVC pipe sleeves down in quite a few of those boreholes. And then when they're hammer grabs, because it walked, the hammer grab will intersect that borehole and in
the modern drill programs too. They also use jet pumping and they used air pumping, and so that could be the residual of some program that had pipe down there for piping or for pumping air or water or whatever.
Yeah, somebody said a water hose could be a hose for everything you just said. Yeah,
for jet pumps or whatever. Yeah, it could be for anything.
Hard to say what it was, and I'm not going to make a big deal about it. But it's just one of those things. I'm always looking to see what else, what's coming up. I'm like, what the heck is that? When I first saw it, I thought it was rope. That's what I thought of too. So yeah,
so many people have done some drilling programs and pumping programs and drilled and then pumped, and so many different things have been done there. We into the 1900s that goodness knows what it was left behind from.
Yep. Yeah, and this one here, I mean, this is one of the pictures that Tom grabbed. It looks like what over your
that's the buffet table of samples.
Yes, it is. Look at all the stuff on that.
They're keeping samples of everything.
Yep. Yeah, wood. Any chunks
that's
of
2 different angles. That's one. What do you call it? Guardrail or beam, whatever, and that's the other beam.
Yeah,
there's 2 different beams there.
Yeah, and look
concrete
at that.
Or what?
I mean, it looks like there's that's what I was going to say, like chunks of concrete and stuff on there as well.
Clay, wood. I don't know what that is on the far right end of that bottom picture there. There's a square piece of wood.
Yeah.
Then on the far right hand end of it, is that a piece of wooden dowel or?
Yeah, it looks like something right here. And then this square, whatever that looks like, maybe a piece of wood.
That's dimensional lumber of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always good to be looking around at the other stuff. If you get an opportunity to watch the show more than once, like I do, that's when I'm looking for the other stuff in the background to see what else we might be missing from it. So interesting things that came up here on there for sure. Look at that wood. I grabbed this picture. This was them breaking up after they decided to pull the plug on RP1. But again, carbon dating on some wood is in the next episode. Yes, it is.
Great.
Yeah, they got some of that back already. So but yeah, so there we go. A lot of stuff. Don't know if it's Pitter Swamp though. Yeah, true.
So I know you're gonna probably show a picture of the dowel, right? Are any of these pieces that we've seen big enough for a dowel that size to go into? They are? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because it seemed like a really big dowel, and I feel like I didn't know if we saw timbers big enough.
Yeah, some of these right here would definitely these big pieces right here, definitely big enough.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. I see those.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the bigger beams right there for sure.
Cool.
And when would they have used dowels? They wouldn't have used dowels, probably not so much in the searchers.
No, that would have been depositor, right?
In my opinion, yes. Yep. All right. So anyway, lots of different woods coming up, so that's good stuff there. This is a neat picture here. Boy, RP1 was kind of tough.
What were they going through?
I know.
So all the teeth are gone, huh?
Yeah.
Only a couple left. For 1 or 2.
Yeah, there's only 1 or 2 teeth left on this thing.
Wow.
A lot of rock. I mean, I wouldn't think that logs would do that, but
you wouldn't think.
Man, we know they do pull up rocks because there's usually in those pictures. I don't know if you can see it in this one. Well, I don't know. Is that one right there?
Yeah, that's a boulder.
Yeah.
So they do get into a lot of rocks. There's usually a pile off to the side of all the rock that they pull up. So, I mean, that could definitely do it when it's squeezing down on the rock. It could bust off one of those teeth on a bad corner or something. But yeah, that's looking like pretty bad. And that's the guys have to go and weld those all on. I mean, talk about the length of time it takes to put a case on in the ground. And when this kind of thing happens, I mean, you got to weld all the teeth back on it. They bring lots of spare teeth, but wow. Pretty tough on it. Next, they jump over to the war room, and this is where they decide they have a little talk about what did they really get from RP1, which I think we pretty much covered that already. Yep. The wood, that's very important. And then they decided where are we going next? And as Rick said, we can't back away from this now. No way. We got to keep going. So he's asked, Marty asked Rick the question, where do you want to put the next case on? And there you have it. He wants to go right back down shaft 6 with the second case on right there, right next to that one. I thought when I first heard this, I thought, ooh, man, that's a little tight. I mean, are they going to be getting into the backfill at all of the other one? I mean,
exactly.
They said on the show it was a foot apart, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was impressed, and also kind of that was my thought too of like, wow, that's cool that they're able to do that, because I don't, obviously Vanessa's and the rest of the team's not gonna do something unsafe, and so I was impressed that they get the opportunity to drill right there. It must not be as
must be pretty solid ground there for them not to worry about undermining.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I mean, they're going to get wood most of the way down. Thank you, April. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're helping to keep the show going, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Yeah, they're depending upon how deep down in the dirt before shaft 6, before they start hitting what's left of shaft 6. If they'll be getting some on the way down, but again, getting down to the bottom. And it brings back up that question that I had asked before, because they said that shaft 6 was put in 18 feet to the west of the original money pit. But when we looked at that on a larger picture, it's about 18 feet west of Aladdin's cave. So I was very confused about that. Still kind of on the I'm still kind of on the fence as to what exactly does that mean.
I don't know.
Because over here's this is the edge of Aladdin's cave over here on the side.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
right here.
Yep.
And and you see that right there is west. Well, west would be going straight across one of these lines.
Yeah, that half moon circle is the Aladdin's cave caisson, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, right here.
I like that both of these are called Rick's picks, because like Marty was saying and Rick was saying, like he's always believed in shaft 6 telling a story, and with both these caissons you're going to answer your question about it. It's not like, oh, we can't get all of shaft 6 and then you have questions remaining for next season. No, they're going to be able to either confirm or put a next either way. So that's cool. I'm excited for Rick with the second shaft.
Right. Me too. So we'll see what they get to the bottom of it. But in either case, I don't think we saw. Remember, and it was I was showing this on the podcast last week. I was showing the fact that they said that there was one of the caissons had gone down 200 feet. We saw it written on the side of the caisson. I was thinking, oh, that must be RP1. Nope, must be RP2. Probably not RP2 either, because they're only looking at going down about 118, 120 feet. Correct. They want to get down to the bottom of where that tunnel was that goes across toward the money pit. They're going to stop at about once they get back into in situ, like that Tom was just talking about at the bottom of the first one, RP1. They're done.
Yep.
Unless for some reason you see how close it is to the solution channel. This is your solution channel line right here.
Oh no.
Yeah. If they cut into the solution channel, what will they find? I don't know. How deep is the solution channel at that point?
Well, this is just because you hit in situ doesn't mean that there's not a tunnel underneath it.
Exactly.
Or a cavern or a cave or whatever you want to,
right. Yeah.
That just means that's as far vertically as that particular shaft has gone.
Right.
But it doesn't mean somebody hasn't.
So could it have fallen deeper? That was a great question you asked, Seth. It really was. Very apropos.
Stumbled into that one.
Yeah. So here they are. And this is right where they said shaft 6 and shaft 8, and the two tunies right there showing the two caissons going down. And it's west of Aladdin's cave. So we'll find out what that's all about. Here's just an overhead shot of it, kind of giving you an idea of where things are. I grabbed. I kind of like looking at the maps that they show on here. And here again, RP2 going in side by side right there. And here's the beginnings of RP2 happening. All right, 20 feet, getting things started. And you heard Vanessa say something. Boy, the guys are after it because they were down to 60 feet pretty quickly. I like this one here. Did you guys catch that? I thought that was a funny moment.
No, I actually had the clips of that.
That was pretty funny. He's pushing Marty to pull the trigger, turn the machine on, and Marty's like, no, all right.
Yeah, he's like, you're going to believe in this one.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, it was a good moment. And there he is turning it on to get things started. Nice thing that Tom caught on this one here as well. Got a big level on there.
Yep.
You suppose that's how they're keeping them from walking or keeping them straight, or
because you can see the oscillator does have a tilt function to it, eh? So he'd be able to change the angle on that if he had to.
Right.
Because you can see him motioning with his hand in the top one, then he's going, okay, right there, stop
right
there.
On the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good point. That's how they make sure that it's going straight down on the target that they're trying to get. And I wondered about that too. I mean, that's a great catch, Tom, because this is exactly how they go about doing it. You think about it, it makes good sense. So yeah, nice catch on that. The difference between the two, RP1 and RP2, again, looking at the teeth that were busted off, you can see the teeth missing here.
By the time they get to RP2, they're all replaced again. So
yeah,
good to go.
Yep, got the welder out there putting them back on. Then comes the piece of wood, the piece of dowel. And I use this as tonight's thumbnail because I posed the question, this dowel, could it possibly prove the existence of the original Oak Island money pit? I think it can.
They can carbon date that thing.
If this thing can be carbon dated, and which it can be, and if that date comes back to prior to the finding of the money pit in 1795, I'm going to throw this out to the chat. What does that tell you? If this thing comes back and it's dated, let's say the early 1700s or the late 1600s or earlier, what does that tell us? Go ahead and throw out your answer, what you think that tells us, because that's why, and this is something Seth brought up earlier, that's why this wood, that everybody complains about, keep finding wood, is so darn important. By the way, thank you, Thank you, Craig, very much. I appreciate it, sir. You come through with that almost every week, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you. Depositor Phips. Yeah, it's either original or recovery effort from before our timeline. Yes, Bill, exactly. And I'm not going to throw that out and say that there's no, everybody keeps saying depositor, depositor, depositor. Well, what if depositors put it in there way back when, back in say the 1300s or 1400s or 1200s, and then somebody came along later and actually did a withdrawal prior to 1795. The question that came up for us, if that happened, would they go through such a big effort to fill it all back in and cover it up? If they took the treasure out and they were gone, would they care at that point?
You wouldn't think. Because there's nothing left to hide then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were foiled just like modern searchers, and treasure got left behind, and they knew it, and they thought, okay, well, let's cover it up. Eventually we'll go back. And them going back was through Freemasons and others with these, companies that drilled. That the knowledge is, is still through the same, you know what I mean? Like same source, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's obviously still treasure. Ian Spooner, I believe his data. So I think I think that's why they had to bury it, because they didn't want people getting what was still there.
Yeah. The other thing is too, if you were a searcher and you dug a tunnel and you used all that time, material, or a shaft and all that time, material, and manpower, the shaft was unsuccessful. As long as you weren't flooded out, you're going to pull that stuff back up out of the hole and use it on your next shaft. You're not going to go cut down new stuff and haul in new stuff, right?
I wouldn't. Yeah, it's an awful lot of work.
You're going to bring it back up. It's already cut to size.
Yeah.
Bring it back up, throw a few Roman numerals on it, and use it again.
Somebody mentioned in here too, it depends on the age of that piece of wood. Trees, this was David brought this up. The tree's age, Dowel could have been made anytime after. Correct.
Yep.
That's very correct. Now, if you go back to, let's say, the early 1600s, that this Dowel was, because if look at it this way, if the guys are working on the island and they're building this structure from the wood that they're getting from the island or the landmass nearby, the mainland nearby. Thank you, Joanna. Appreciate that. And also to our friend from Australia here as well, Warren. Thank you, Warren. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you, folks, helping to keep this going. I truly appreciate it. But if they're building the structure as they're going down and creating the money pit in the first place, and they're building this from the wood that they find right there on the island, that's going to be the end date of that wood. Okay, it's not going to have a date going past that.
So as long as it's before a certain date, we can make a.
Yeah, I would want it to be at least 20 years prior to, say, 1795.
Yes,
because a piece of wood cut down in 1795 could be used to make a dowel to search in 1810.
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. So I would, and wood's probably going to rot. Once you cut a tree down, if it's not preserved or whatever, the wood's sitting above ground is going to rot within probably 20 years.
Right.
So I would want it to be at least 20 years previous to 1795.
Right.
I'm hoping it's real old. I mean, that thing looks dark, and I bet that thing would sink so quick to the bottom of a bucket. It's like
it
a
looks
rock.
like it's hand cut. See the ridges all the way around it?
Yes.
That's the other point I was going to make too. Thank you, Tom.
That's not a machine cut dowel.
This thing has been hand shaped.
Yeah, the machine cut dowels, the totally perfectly round dowels were not started until the mid 1800s. So we know it's pre 1800 would be my guess for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and David brings up a good point again. The log could hang out drying in the shed for years. That's true. But if you're on the island and you don't have a shed. I mean, if you're guys out there digging the money pit and putting everything in there, I don't think you've got a shed. You're going to be taking wood you're finding, cutting it, and using it right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're taking it from a ship that you burned and put in the swamp or something, I don't know. Maybe
that's why I say unless it was preserved somehow. anything 20 years prior to 1795 is good, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, there's always that possibility that it was in a building or in a shed or it was reused from someplace. But if it was just wood left out in the open on Oak Island in Canada through the winter and spring, summer, and fall, it's not going to last more than 20 years.
Nope.
If it's exposed to the elements.
Correct. Yep. Very good point. And so that's why I had high hopes for this piece of wood. And they felt the same way. They all talked about it at the table. Could this piece of dowel be from the original money pit? And the answer is yes, it could be.
Certainly possible.
Absolutely. Now, in my description or title that I put on there, does that mean that there was treasure down there? Well, no, it doesn't actually say that there was treasure there, but why else would anybody be down there in the first place prior to 1795?
Why was somebody there? The question is, why is somebody there 300 years ago?
Exactly. Exactly. Right. It doesn't prove the existence of treasure, but it does prove that people were down under the ground, 100 feet down under the ground, doing something 300 years ago.
Yeah, they weren't planting cabbage.
And they weren't planting cabbage.
And they left bones and leather.
Yep.
And
iron. Pickaxes.
Yep.
Pickaxes.
Concrete.
All kinds of interesting things have been found so far down there. And that's the point. That's the point for Marty. And you heard Marty say that on the show.
Parch bits of paper.
Yep.
Yep.
That nail, even that spike that they found, that broken spike, that proves that somebody was down there messing around 300 or more years ago. So that's the golden ticket to take from this.
Yeah. So 1861, just to repeat myself from last week, they found in 1861 partial bottom of a keg, mud clay, blackened wood that had been cut, blackened wood that had been cut, hewn board, and sawn, and manila grass in some form of fiber. So, great place to dig.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that's a great piece. And I think somebody said, and I don't know how he determined this because we were looking at it, but I think it was Alex that said it looked like it had been hit with a square hammer because I don't know if he saw.
He was looking at the end of it when he said that.
Yeah.
You could probably see the remnants of instead of a round hammer hitting it, a square hammer hitting it, or a maul.
Indentation of a
could have been a maul too.
Maybe on the end of it right here or something on this or this surface. Looked like he got hit with must have left a square indentation. Yep. In it as well. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
the last time that thing was held in a man's hands was by the guy who was driving it in to the wood.
I would say so.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Whoever held that last knows a lot of answers we don't know.
Yeah.
So that just be laying there, something that you wouldn't leave laying around. That had to break out of a piece of timber down there somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Now, the reason I grabbed this particular picture here is because I wanted to get the placement of the caisson that RP1, RP2. I don't know if this is which one, RP1 or RP2. But its particular placement there is key, and I'm going to say right now that this is not the caisson that got left in the ground. RP2.
Where do you think on this picture? Where do you think it is roughly?
Okay, because we were looking at the pictures of there was a gentleman that had done some drone picture, and that was Poe's Experience. If anybody wants to check it out, he's on YouTube, Poe's Experience. But looking at that, you could tell that it was right about off this line of using the fence as a guide off the garden shaft. That would put it somewhere right about over in here.
Man, you and Zane are right. As soon as you were saying that in the chat, I see him saying it as well. Right to the left of the crane or under the crane. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Right in that area here. Yeah. And where are they now? They're way over here by Aladdin's cave. So this might be, I mean, they switch these pictures around all the time. We don't know exactly which picture they grabbed. This might be the one that went down in Aladdin's cave for all we know. But either way, they're too far away from that line And even shaft 6, where they're going down, is too far to the east, the southeast of where the caisson got left.
Yep.
So we got at least one more. So that's 5. So we've seen RP2 will be 4, correct? So that's we were wondering, did they put 3, 4, 5 in? We weren't sure. So that means at least 5.
Yep. And they did make a comment about getting late in the season. The days are getting shorter.
Yeah.
So time is running out. When did they leave? October?
Yeah, it was in October when they packed up and left the money pit. The money pit was completely cleaned out. Everything was gone in early October. So, yeah. So
and those guys left weeks before that.
Yep. So here we are. Let's jump over now to the wash plant, because this was a great scene. That pick was high summer. Look at the foliage. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Probably not September. So that could have been Aladdin's Cave, actually, the one that was going in Aladdin's Cave. So over here at the wash plant, as they're working over here, and they find a great find. This, I think, is the one that Laird was so excited about. Remember that, Seth?
Yeah, when he was on the podcast with us, he had said, there is something that comes out of the money pit that excites him. Because I was kind of saying, anytime Laird is excited by something, it's huge for us fans, and he goes, well, I will say, so I think this is it, which, as we'll see later in the show, it really is huge. The word of the day for me was curated. This is not a curated piece, as an archaeologist would say.
Exactly.
I had to look it up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Curated. Also, a piece of pottery was found, and now we didn't hear anything more about this piece of pottery during the episode last night. And I hope we do. I hope they talk about it at least a little bit more.
Yeah, it can't be that old. No one gave it the tongue test. So,
very true. Very true. Yeah. But again, what was a piece of clay pipe and a piece of pottery doing that deep down? Well, I don't know. They didn't really give us a depth, though, did they? We know it's out of the shaft 6 caisson, RP1, but how deep, we don't know. It was probably, I don't think it ever came up saying, I'm looking through my notes.
I'm looking through mine too. I don't know if they ever actually told us the depth that came from.
No deeper than 100-something feet, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Probably around that 60 foot. I mean, it's got to be around where they were hitting the wood. Yeah. So around 60 feet-ish.
Right. Yep. I would say somewhere in that range. Exactly. So they're finding some very good stuff. The pottery, it could be very common. So this might be a nothing burger, the piece of pottery.
I don't know. I agree with Zane. It's a weird place to have tea. That's funny, Zane.
But this pipe
right,
stem,
just
we'll get to the analysis of that.
Tea time.
It's tea time.
Yeah. Oh, there's your British connection.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Interesting piece of pottery, though, for sure. So that was pretty cool. We'll get more on that, because we're going to go to the analysis in the lab here. But not for a chamber pot, huh?
No, pretty fancy.
Yeah, fancy for a chamber pot, I think. Yeah. Why pottery at that depth? Just amazing. I know it is. I know. I know they haven't pulled up treasure, but all the stuff leads to the mystery. And Rick actually kind of talked about that a little bit last night, didn't he? He talked about finding all these things, and all these things lead to the answers that they're looking for, and including what they're finding right here in the swamp. This all ties together. I think it really does. And I think that all the searching they're doing around the island, if you were spending all your time just in the money pit, I think you'd be wasting your time, because there is so many items, there's so much other evidence on this island to give you answers as to the who, what, why, where, when, and how. and they found some more interesting things here in the swamp, in the north side of the swamp, or the bog, or the North Bog, as they've been calling it. Lots of wood, lots of more of these marking the stakes that they've been finding in here. Each one, remember we were talking about the blue, the sticks with the blue ribbon tied on them. And those were marking the survey markers, and you see them all right here. There's a lot of them. I mean, they found a lot more stakes in here. What were they surveying? What were they marking out? Was it this road that they've been following? Kind of seems that way, doesn't it?
Yes.
Then they found another one, and this one was cut a little bit differently than the others. I don't know if that means anything, but it was cut a little differently. Okay, it just had like 4 cuts to it. Interesting. And then they found this piece of metal. We don't have a clue what this thing is.
It's part of a treasure chest.
Exactly.
Jack, did you just show up on the show? You came to the podcast. Yes, it's off a chest, of course. Yeah, all right. I don't. Leanne, thank you so much, Leanne. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So yeah, that plus this right here, it kind of looks to me like a chisel of some sort.
The only thing with that chisel that got me was that it's not all corroded. It's only partly corroded. And remember last week, the piece of iron that they had, they said it was more pure because it wasn't as corroded. So yeah. I don't know. Or that could just be the part that was, encased in wood or whatever.
Right.
Something couldn't get to it. But
right.
That's the only thing that struck me weird about it. The whole thing wasn't corroded.
Right. Exactly. Me too. I thought that as well. Too smooth here in different parts, which is going to lend me to believe that neither one of these items are that old. Could be wrong. We'll find out if they ever date them and get anything further discussed about them. But I think the big thing that they found, and I'm not counting these as the big thing they found in the swamp, was they did find this other shoe leather, thick stuff that was found. Katya found that laying on the ground, and they bagged it and tagged it. And there's another shot of it there. Definitely looks like more of a heavier leather, more like a boot, like Tom was talking about earlier. But I think the big takeaway from this was the road. They've been following this road all the way up through the money pit. And we've been talking about, the swamp, but we've been talking about this for the last several weeks now. I think they have found out that it does, in fact, turn and go towards Lot 5 direction. We don't know if it goes all the way over there, but it goes that way. It goes that direction.
I would say that it has to, because if you're gonna work on that island, right? And at the time, you had to get between the western drumlin and the eastern drumlin, and if there was water or mud between them, you had to have some sort of a stone pathway or road.
Yep.
So you're not going to go down and wade through that muck every time to get from one place to another.
Yeah, that was kind of my question of, on when they first found the road, it was like, why would you need a road like this? And it was unloading treasure, right? You're loading heavy stuff and offloading, whatever. But over here, my thought was, okay, well, were they still carrying heavy items across this part of the road, or was this just more of a walkway? I
don't know. I think yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and then I was going to say also, I think I know we talked about it before, but surely this calls for more LiDAR, to really reveal as much as they can of.
I would love to see that happen.
Stuff like this.
And I tell you, a particular LiDAR expert that would love to go to Oak Island and do it.
Yeah.
And you can ask him tomorrow night if he could do a better job than what we have now. How much the technology has changed.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, because they've done it. What, a couple of years ago?
It was like 2016, I think.
2016, I think.
Oh, come on. That's that's 2 decades ago, but in technology standards.
Yes, by technology standards, that's decades ago. And if you guys if you want to join us tomorrow night when Pete's on the show, he'll be talking a little bit about his new technology. And what they're doing at Skinwalker Ranch right now is pretty phenomenal. It really, truly is. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now because we're talking about Oak Island, but yeah, it really is pretty cool. So they're finding this road. Now, the one thing that, if the guys are walking all the way from lot 5, which I think is where the barracks buildings were, at least one, if they're walking from there over to the money pit every day, every shift or whatever, I was thinking, man, would they have, ox carts or something, to haul people, haul shovels, maybe they left all that over there. Who knows?
There you go.
But they haven't found any ox shoes along this road that I can
going to say that they haven't pulled really any significant amount of any type of metal out.
Yeah. So if there was oxen going down this road, you would think that they would find more ox shoes, but
yeah.
Now they did find them. Remember, as the road goes up on the other side of the stone path that we saw in the southeast corner of the swamp, and they thought it turned and went up towards the tar kiln or the pine tar kiln or over towards the money pit.
Yep.
They found some in lot 15 in that route. But why not over here? So where the guy's just walking and the guy blew out his shoe on the way there and he just took his shoe off and walked barefoot the rest of the way.
Did you see Barbara's comment? Thus began the legend of One Boot Frank.
I just said it. He blew out his shoe on the way back.
That was perfect. You and the chat are in sync tonight.
We are. That's pretty
cool. It really, it's fun to think about too, like with the dowel and with this boot, we learn later now the time frame, so we can kind of speculate whose boot it was. But it's funny to think about, like, just some guy lost his shoe in the muck and was, dang it, that was a nice boot. It was good leather.
Somebody else said in the chat too that those kind of things were capped and repurposed. Boots were not. You just don't run down to the store and buy another pair.
You put new soles on them, new heels, whatever.
Yeah, that leather they pulled out was gorgeous. I thought, just beautiful shape, and you could still see the holes and
right.
Well, still had the sinew in it or thread or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you would definitely want to reuse that unless you didn't care that much, unless the boot was from a different time frame when somebody had maybe some coin from that he found in a vault somewhere. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. He sank waist deep. All right, we are time for our giveaway, and again, we've got this great looking Oak Island hat, Michelle Tomeyer, and we've got this it's like an ornament or Oak Island, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, it's an ornament.
Yeah, I've got one on my tree.
Yep, I have one of those as well, myself.
Thanks.
And that was donated by. Oh, hello there, Linda Simpson.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Okay, now we're going to talk about real quick, and again, I'm repeating myself like the show Oak Island does, talking about the XRF machine. I know. Here we go. Time to drink. Yep, get your drink. To be eligible for any of our giveaways, you must be a member of our Facebook group page, and on there, Linda will put up a post showing the pictures for the following show, and you just comment to that post saying yes, and that makes you eligible for that coming giveaway. Now, you can join our Facebook group. It's down below in the chat. In the description of the show, you can look at that. You can click on it, take you right over there, and become a member, and then be eligible. Drinking game. I know that's we do that on Tuesday nights watching the show. So that's how you become eligible for it. And all right, is that enough?
That's enough. I'm just kind of. It's okay. I'm ready.
Now, Linda's going to do the spinaroo, and we'll find out who wins. So I'm going to put her in solo layout there. All right, you're up, Linda.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Jeff, take a look in your private chat there. I sent you a couple pictures.
All right. Dana Sanderson. Dana. I think Dana's here.
I saw so many names of everybody here. I bet a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm so close."
Stop.
Yeah.
Where's Dana? Are you still here?
Is Dana still here?
I saw Dana a while ago. Oh no, it was Dave I saw.
Dana's usually around.
Yeah, I know, April. I saw your name. I thought you were going to win.
Missed it by that much. Yeah. That's a great picture, Tom.
Dana.
Is she here?
Let us know. Dana calling once. Dana calling twice. I don't know that she's here. Oh my gosh. I thought I saw her.
Again.
There is no Dana.
Could have swore.
Only so.
Maybe not. All right. Well,
No.
Sanderson. Are we going to have to spin again? I think we might.
Yeah, we're just going to have to do it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Dana. Wow. Well, she'll find
It
out.
is big. It's a very bad time for that.
All right.
She's driving and can't.
Pulling in April. Yes, she is.
Pulling in April.
Oh, wait. Look, she's here.
Oh, whoop, there it is.
There you
All
go.
right.
Oh, man, we were just getting ready to
You
spin
were
again.
so
Boy,
close.
you were
You're
that
lucky
close.
that I joke around and talk too much.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
All
there
right.
you go.
Send me your address, Dana, and I will get this out to you. Probably won't leave here till Friday because I'm not going out tomorrow.
Oh, I know. That's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it very much. And
Yeah,
Dana,
thanks, Linda.
congratulations. You got a
Yep.
hat coming and a ornament. So cool deal.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
She says driving. She's driving. Okay, well, stop messaging us, Dana. You won. Good job.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Stay on the road.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, something else I wanted to say too was, in Michigan, wow, the homeland got hit really, really, really hard with a massive ice storm that went across Traverse City, where Marty is, Traverse City area, crossed Gaylord and into Atlanta, where I have some property, and ice storm. It has been the worst. And more snow now, right? It's been the worst ice storm that most people have seen in their lifetime ever. Trees down, power's down. The bridge, Mackinac Bridge, is closed indefinitely. They don't even have a date yet when the bridge is going to be open to go back to the UP.
Whoa.
Because of the ice falling off the bridge. I mean, trees, it's terrible. We had some people looked at. I really feel for all the folks that are from that area because they've got no power and not even sure when it will be back. Could be weeks before everybody gets their power back on. So bad stuff. I really feel for everybody that's over that way right now. Yeah. No power in even Petoskey. Yeah. For 5 days so far. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad over there. Friends and stuff. We had the place that we have up, or I have up there, was checked. Everything's cool. Lots of trees down and no power, obviously, what's off there anyway because of the winter. But man, I really feel for the folks. Prayers are going out to you all over in that area. So, well, I know they can't hear us because they have no power. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that too tonight for those folks. All right. So Tom just shared this picture before we get away from the swamp, and by golly, gold was found in the swamp.
Gold was found in the swamp. Anybody didn't notice that last night? You better call the premier. We know where his road sign is.
Yeah, I believe that says Gold River. Yeah,
Gold
River. So there you go. They found it.
Yep.
My goodness, it's gold in the swamp. They need to
X
look.
marks the spot.
What was the other one you sent with the footprints? What was that?
That was out of the museum in Chester that Danny Henniger has. So if you're wondering why there's only one boot in the swamp, well, there's the tracks he left behind.
Oh, let's I gotta go back and look at that again. All right. It is, you're right. It is.
Yep. There's the evidence.
Oh, look at that. It's one
That's why
boot.
there's only one boot. It was a pirate.
What was that person's name again? One Boot Frank?
Yep.
Yeah. One boot Frank.
There's the evidence.
There he is. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Jeez, man, I did not catch that Gold River. My goodness. Well, all right. So next, they end up going over to the Oak Island Research Center. And they got the guy out here. That is, I've forgotten his name all of a sudden. Joe Landry.
Oh, Joe Landry. Yeah.
Joe Landry on the island. That's rare, right?
Leather expert.
The leather expert, Joe Landry. They brought him in all the way from Halifax.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's where he lives, but that's where his shop is, right? In Halifax?
Yes, in Halifax, yeah.
So they brought Joe Landry over to take a look at some of these wood samples that they have. And I tell you what, he's an expert with this stuff, so he would know. So they got to look at it, and I got some close-ups. Look at these pieces right here. And again, we go back to that thought of, they would repurpose as much as they could unless it really wasn't that important to the person, and it was in much more modern times that they would have lost a boot like this. But you see the three different pieces.
Or it was a pirate and he just didn't need a left boot.
Yeah. I was really trying to get some dates on this. I
couldn't get them either.
I know it's really blurry, but that one looks like August. This one right here in the middle looks like August.
Yeah.
I think that's August. And again, it doesn't really matter because these were all found in the swamp area as they were going along. And Kat, you found some of this, and Gary found some of it. And they kind of gave it a date of about, I think when Joe was looking, he talked about it being oak tanned.
Oak tanned, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking into that a little bit. The weight of the leather, he was talking about the weight of the leather. And it tells him it's somewhere between 1830 and 1900. Well, who does that fit? Well, does the shoe fit? Anthony, that's Anthony Graves' time frame, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so they showed this little picture here where his house was, and these are the lots that Anthony Graves owned at one time, all the way from 5 to 20 across the top here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so pretty much from where the road, one end of the road to the other end of the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or, suspected ends of the road.
Right. And we've often wondered, if you own all of this, why would you choose to put your house where he did, right there on the edge of the swamp? Seems odd, but maybe that was the easiest. That was Geordie's Cove up here, was called Geordie's Cove, right? At the one time.
Yeah.
So,
Geordie's Cove, yeah.
Yeah. Geordie's Cove. Mm-hmm. So that would be maybe one of the easiest places to get in and out. Like Fred Nolan put his house there with the big dock, so maybe that's an easy spot to get in and out. Maybe that's why, who knows? But I mean, just seems like an odd place to build your house.
It does, because I mean, it's the only way on and off the island, right? There's no causeway, right? So wouldn't you, if you owned all that land, wouldn't you pick a spot closer to the mainland?
You would think. I would think closer to the bank.
Yeah, there's got to be something so key, I think, that he would want to keep an eye over, with the swamp. Something that he's guarding.
Like a vault with some Spanish coins in it that he might have found in the swamp right there that they came across later. I think you might be right. I mean, that kind of, and what, if he wasn't too concerned, now that he's got money, I'm just going to go get me a new pair of boots and I'm going to throw these in that mucky old swamp.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, that's where you took stuff back in the day to get rid of it. You take it down, throw it in the swamp, get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So yeah, and if it dates that way, now we are supposed to be getting some dates from the leather. They're supposed to be sending it off to have it carbon dated. So we'll see. We'll see if now there was two different kinds. They talked about one of the boots. He was talking about the thick leather in the boot. When I think hard to tell the way that Prometheus cuts up the editing, do the editing. But it seemed like one of them was more of a work boot or something, and the other one was more military style, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The finer shoe.
Yeah, the toe leathers seem to be thinner and more from a military boot than a work boot.
Yeah. So we get this carbon dating. We hopefully we'll get some idea on that a little bit better. Okay, so next the guys jump over to lot 5. And there they are working hard on lot 5 again. And they're still working in that yard area. And they came across another piece of a clay pipe. And this one has that what appears to be a maker's mark on it. Now, they didn't talk about this one in the lab, so we don't know. And the dating of this hole could have been, I mean, again, they cut this stuff up. Sometimes it's summer months, sometimes it's in the fall. So we don't know really, but we know that from the fact that they're wearing sweaters and whatnot, the chances are it's probably in the fall. I don't see leaves on the ground yet, but they found that piece of pottery or a pipe there. Nickma, thank you very much, by the way. I appreciate that. Refresh my memory. Isn't the leather expert the one who had a store where they or were looking for the 90-foot stone? I have seen him in seasons past. He has been on seasons past. They've gone to Halifax to the bookbindery to his shop and have shown him leather there.
Correct.
Was that the place where the 90-foot stone was searched for? I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't. No, it was a different location altogether.
Okay. Yeah, Joe Landry has a shop. It's in Halifax there, and but this time he came to the island. But you're right, he has been on the show before when they went up there to see him. They had taken him some pieces of leather. They also took some leather pieces that they found in the money pit. I think it was H8 actually. The spoils from H8 that had paper fiber.
Yeah, I was going to say he's looked at paper too.
Yeah, he also looked at the leather that had the purple or something on it too, didn't he?
Oh,
yes, he did. Yes, he did. The pigment on it. Yep.
Man.
Yeah.
That
so
was
good
cool.
memory, Nick. 71. Yeah, he's been on a couple of times before.
Yep.
So let's get back over to here. So and thank you again, by the way. Appreciate it, Nickma. So they found this piece of this pipe, and what's so cool about it, and you heard him talking about it, Laird, he gets so excited about because you can date them. And it wasn't, again, what was the word you were using?
It's not a curated piece.
Right.
People just drop them like a cigarette butt. So, you find it, okay, if I can date this thing, that's when it hit the ground.
Right. And something that Tony had taught us when we were on the Tony Sampson Salty Dog Sea Tours, they would, when they were out at sea, and these pipes came already pre-packed with tobacco in them, right? I did not know that.
That's cool to hear.
I was dumbfounded by that. They already have tobacco in them. So they just basically, it's like buying a pack of smokes or whatever. You got it. You light up when you're done, you break it. Now, the tradition, I thought they said when you're at sea, is you break it and throw it overboard. And so they're finding, clay pipe all the time when they're diving.
Oh yeah.
Wrecks and stuff. So, but
anytime you dive, Tony was telling us that anytime you dive around where there was a ship mooring or a dock or whatever, he said, you're going to find them all over the place.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very, very curious, but you can actually use them for dating. And this is something that Laird taught us by the size, the shape of it, of course, and by the size of the hole that's drilled into the pipe. That's how you can tell the dating of it.
That's why you see he had the different drill bits there so he could measure it on the table.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Now this is
the bigger the hole, the older the pipe.
Right. Right. And this was what you heard Laird say, the biggest hole in pipe that he has found on the island, period.
Wow.
Or, and here it is right here. Now, apparently, he's got these laid out, and this is not all from the same pipe. I think he was saying that this one here, it had the hole size was about 6/64. Go ahead.
No, we're looking at the one pulled out of the money pit, right? This isn't the
Correct.
lot 5 pipe?
Right, correct. This is the one pulled out of the money pit. Okay. And it had very large holes, 6/64. This one here, we don't know where it came from because they never talked about it until we saw it. They didn't talk about it here either, but at 464, smaller hole, you can see the size of the bit. And then the bowl.
Do you think that's the actual bowl that they found but just didn't show us? Or do you think this is maybe a kind of just one that they had that they would say it would have, this is what the bowl would have looked like for their purpose? I wish that it's just weird that if they had found that, they wouldn't have shown us, because that's a big piece of clay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Intact.
And now that it's been shown on TV, Laird can probably talk about it.
Ooh.
Yes, it's very true.
So I want to ask him.
Yeah.
See if we can get more detail on this, because it's not all the same. And where is this bowl from? I don't know. I mean, it's pretty interesting that they pulled this out for an example piece. And where did they get that? I don't remember them, finding an actual bowl like that.
No.
Laird's sample kit, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? But anyway, like Tom was saying, the bigger the hole, the bore hole in the pipe, the older it is, and that's the biggest he had seen. That's why he was so excited about it. Yeah, Tony finds pipe bowls. Yep, he does. Usually there's a maker's mark on the pipe, and that's why I was wondering about that. You've seen that? Oh,
yeah,
right here. And I tried to search for it, just did a brief Google search looking for these things to see if any of them had a maker's mark or something on it. And I didn't see anything. There were some that were like a word written on it by the manufacturer of it, probably, but none like this. So hopefully we'll find out more about this thing. I really hope so. I hope it's not another one of these that just, disappears. We never hear about it ever again. But yeah, that was very interesting to see these pieces here on the table. And there's another look at that one that had that very large hole in it. Let's see. I was just going to see if there was more detail on this. Let's see. RP1, not really. Oh, the dating of it. Yes. Now, this is what is very interesting about this as well, was the different see, clay pipes are fragile and often had longer stems for sharing the pipe with others, and to avoid spreading illness, they'd break a tip of it off. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Smart. I did not know that either. Thanks, Todd. That's kind of interesting. You could snap it off and hand it to somebody else. Yeah. Makes sense. But dating of this particular one, now they look at it, they're like, oh, it's a perfect match. And I'm like, hard to see, because we're in TV land. We're out here trying to watch the screen and see why they're there on the scene, so they get to look at it and get a better take of it. But from their analysis, 1680 to 1710. Who does that describe?
So the pipe Phips.
Yeah.
Good one. I like that. Does the pipe Phips? Does it Phip? Yep. Very, very good. And I grabbed this here because I thought this was pretty interesting to get this and keep this in my archives. But yeah, that's it right there. That's that top one right here, up at the top.
What's incredible to me is that people even actually study this stuff. They make, go back and look it up and figure it out, and where these things were made and how they were made, and they archive it so people can go actually find out.
Yeah. I know.
Who would have thought there would have been a guide to artifacts of colonial America that would tell you the age of a pipe?
Right. Yeah. I think somebody in the chat earlier was saying like how he loved how, we went from learning about wood dating and now we're doing clay pipe dating, the places this show leads you to. It's fun.
I know, right?
What were those butternuts, right? Was that the Viking?
Butternuts. Yeah, the Viking thing, yeah.
Yes, the butternuts. Yeah, exactly. Complete bowl looks to be English. Yeah, it does. It's very decorative. That one was, yep.
So if it was of English design, then Phips Belcher connection, right?
Yeah. Yes. Another thing that talks about the Phips and Belcher connection.
But also keep in mind, devil's advocate, 1600s, 1700s, this whole maritime region here was basically crawling with the British and the French.
Right.
So somebody down in shaft 6 was smoking that pipe before the discovery of the money pit during Phipps's time frame.
Yep. Or they're at the top of the hole, snapped it and threw it down.
Now, you think about that. Oh, like the tree, the age of the oh, okay. All right. I'll check that out. Like dating
Maker's
the
Mark
wood,
whiskey?
from the pig, the wooden peg. Yeah, you're dating that wood. But now I would think that you're not going to keep pipes for a long period of time because the tobacco would just get nasty after a while. I mean, it is kind of anyway, but I mean, I don't think you're going to keep a pipe for 30 or 40, 50 years and they go, oh, here, let me light that one up. It's 50 years old. What the hell, right?
They probably shipped them in small casks or barrels and
right. So it's going to be
fresh for a while.
It's going to be that if that time frame is 1680 to 1710, that's when it was from, and smoked and used and stuff. Is my point to that. It wasn't found years later and just left.
It's not from 1800.
Correct. So yes, and it was down in the spoils of RP1. So somebody was down there between 1680 and 1710 smoking a pipe and finished it, threw it on the ground, like stubbing out your cigarette butt. Again, very significant to the time frame. It adds a time frame to this. So
would they say that Laird said "oh crap" or something?
Yeah, oh crap, yeah.
Oh, I know. He's man, watch the language, dude. Come on.
Emma said he did. That's what he said.
Linda sent me something here. I'm gonna show real quick. Let's see. Let me bring this up for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at over here. We were talking about that Maker's Mark, the O on it. Let's see, the 18th century at the latest.
So 1700s.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Is that the O, the circle that we saw? By members of the Tippett family of Bristol, all with the RT impression.
Bristol's England, isn't it? I believe Bristol's in England.
That's pretty cool. So they're dating these from 1716 and 1749. These different ones. Yeah. That kind of looks like it right there, doesn't it? Wow. Yeah, interesting. I hope we hear more about that.
Yep.
And maybe the maker, it might be. If it is, if they can nail that down and find out exactly, boy, that would be something, wouldn't it? The one that had the mark on it that we didn't know about. Yeah. I'm really curious. All right. So, folks, that brings us up to next time on the Curse of Oak Island. The thing that was spectacular.
We lose Jeff.
Well, somebody I thought it was me. Usually it's me that goes.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. I was frozen.
You're still frozen.
Oh, how about
we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. I'm back.
There you go. There you go. Talk into the mic. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Little glitch on the internet there, I think, or something. We've seen Jack getting very excited, but when doesn't Jack kind of get excited and pumping his fist about something? But some great find in the swamp again. And they said something about, it looks like the wood was something was marked or cut into the wood or engraved on the wood or something like that. Did you guys catch that?
I didn't get a chance to watch that part again.
Okay.
Anybody else watch it? What
I don't remember the wording, but I feel like engraved, was it? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, something about the wood being carved. Something was being carved. And Rick said, it does not look natural. Yeah, so we'll find out what that's all about. And it could be significant. Might not be anything, but it might be significant. We know that they like to toy with our things. And now this looks like he is, this is Gary, and it looks like he is in the spoils coming out of RP2. I'm going to throw out and say it's RP2.
I would say.
And he finds something. He has a woohoo moment. Thank you. Yes, he had a woohoo moment right there. Something significant found coming out of RP2. Here's what Rick said. Do you think someone carved that into the wood? I remember that might have been Jack actually that said that, because I heard Rick saying it does not look natural. So something significant coming out of a good find there. And then this.
No. So what piece of wood do you guys think this is?
Oak sample 149. Wood
44%, 1725 to 1784. So that's before discovery of the money pit.
Yep.
I don't see anything.
All of the top 4 lines. Wait, no, okay, 1795. All the top 4 lines. So 40, 60, 70, 80, 90% chance to be pre-1795.
Nice.
Right? So 1795 to 1811 is your latest dates with the 10%. And everything above that is going to be pre-money pit. Right?
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, did we lose Jeff altogether?
We did. Well, folks, we want to thank you. No, I'm kidding.
Next time on J3 906.
Yes. So
I'm back.
tomorrow. Oh, there he is.
Oh, geez. So he didn't get the notice.
No. This is awkward.
First, the good news, Jeff. We still got our jobs.
Okay. Well, there you go. Is that what it is? I got fired. I'm off the show. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't
That's
know
new meaning to pull the plug.
Internet's acting up here tonight, and I've got,
usually it's me.
I mean, come on, it should be solid, right?
Yeah, usually it's me.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw the picture I put up. Oh, I got to do that all over again. Never mind. Hold on a second. Let me get that again. I got thrown all the way back. I had to go all the way in from scratch here. Let me share the screen again real quick, because it was this. Did you see that at all?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Now, we don't know. The problem is we don't know what piece of wood this is.
Right.
I wanted to make the assumption it was the dowel, a piece of round peg that Rick pulled up out of the.
I like that assumption.
I'm going to make that assumption. And look at the date up here. Received it on September 12th. Report date September 24th. So it's the right time frame for that to be, but we don't know for sure. We do know it's wood material. I didn't see anything on here that said where it was found. It's oak 12 sample. So that's season 12 sample 0149. But that's all we really know.
And we know that it's pre 1795, 1811 by like 95% or more.
Right. Exactly.
So
that's the key piece. If that is the dowel, folks, then I'm going to say it's original money pit. It's original. It's either from the people who dug the money pit and put the stuff in there, or it's from somebody that came back later and had to shore something up so they could go get the treasure out and take it somewhere else.
So it's not quite 95%, because I see there's one date range in there, 22%. That's 1917 to 1953.
Yeah, I think you can probably throw that out.
So throw that out. 22%, and add the others up. Still, the higher probability is that it's pre 1795.
Yeah, about 65% pre 1795. Which I'm going with that, because you look at the other ones.
Yep.
Here, so that's a good date, and if that's that dowel, then I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about that dowel, and I'm going to say that means that right there, that dowel is from the original money pit, and they were all pretty excited about it. They all thought it was. So
I would say you pegged it.
Man, you're on it tonight. That's good.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Let's see. Oh, is that Jake Roberts?
It is.
Been just watching. Oh, he was keeping quiet tonight. All right. So thank you, Jake. And you know, he's Jake's still going strong with his Ghost of Bacon and stuff that's happening over there. We check in every other Sunday night over there at the Ghost of Bacon. If you guys haven't watched that, you need to go check that show out. It's really a good show. A lot of what Jake talks about there, unfortunately, goes right over my head because he
okay, good. I'm not alone because I've watched it too, and I'm fascinated and always in awe of what he uncovers. And but yeah, I think I need it like slowly. I need to be taught one-on-one that stuff.
It's it's like learning a second language, really.
It is.
There you go. Yeah,
it really is. See, I'm getting pretty good on like the simple cipher because you know it's simple.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. So the simple cipher is good. I can usually grab onto that pretty well, and reverse cipher is pretty simple because it's again pretty simple. But when you get beyond that, and Jake has got he's one of those guys that has the kind of mind where he can just look at something written and start pulling out ciphers in it right off the bat. And there's somebody in the chat here tonight that does the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Renee's pretty good at that.
Oh.
But yeah, there's some people in here that can pull that stuff out, and I'm just
fascinating.
It kind of blows me away. But and looking at a map and pulling out ciphers, and John Edwards does that as well.
One of the big things I find is you have to when you look at those things, you have to think to yourself, when you see something, why is that here?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they put something in a certain place? Why is that letter not quite the same as this letter? You know, there's something different about it.
Why
it's about learning what to look for.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're exactly right. Capitalized letters that are in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. A's with the little crook on it. Just all kinds of stuff that they look for.
Why is every other letter on this page perfect, but this one isn't?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, there are others. Yeah.
Yeah. There definitely are.
Well, you've got quite a slew of them that hang out and watch your podcast. And again, Ghost Bacon, folks, you check that out. If you haven't already, go check out his he's got a lot of, he'll teach you. That's the good thing about it. Mm-hmm. If you watch his podcast, he does teach you. Even somebody like me, but it gets into the more complex ciphers, and I kind of get lost because my brain just doesn't work that way. But yeah, his does. But anyway, check it out.
Can you pull up the results of the blood again for Zane? I saw that they were asking to look at the far right.
Yeah.
What was it, Zane? Chat again for us.
You said the far right has a size or a. Let's see here. Modern carbon dates. I don't see a size on here.
Ratio stable isotopes.
Far right measurement on the report.
Oh, he was wanting to see the BP.
Oh.
What is BP? Do y'all know what that stands for?
Nope, I don't.
Hopefully Zig knows what he's looking at.
I need more info now about the BP measurement. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's something you can decipher. I can't. Jake, do you know what that means? Talking about ciphers? Yeah,
David says blood pressure. Yeah, that's April too. Yeah, blood pressure.
British Petroleum.
Yeah.
Before popes. I like that.
Before popes, yeah.
Blood pressure. Yeah, it gets my blood pressure going. Figure it out. Just sent a photo to the group. Oh, well, let me go see. Oh, okay. Well, let's bring this up real quick here. Whoops, this one. Let's see. Do you mean Cal, BP, and carbon dating? Cal BP is the content of radiocarbon data refers to the calibrated dates expressed in years before present, where present is defined as 1950.
Calibrated. Interesting. So before present. So if a number is like 200.
So that's your date range prior to now.
Yeah, baseline is 1950.
Yeah.
Okay. Baseline 1950. Okay.
Look at us learning.
Oh, you know what? I always say that the podcast needs to be fun, entertaining, and we all might learn something in the process.
There you go.
There you go.
There we go.
So that's the date range prior to 1950, that BP date.
Right. Yeah.
Which is how they're on the left-hand side of that scale, nailing down the two different years, I guess.
Yep. Thanks, Jan. Yeah, appreciate that.
There you go.
Always working on stuff all the time.
Always on the case.
Yep. Always on the case. Well, thank you very much. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us here tonight, too, is very, very much so. And like I said earlier, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, Pete Kelsey and Eric Bard from Skinwalker Ranch. It's going to be an awesome one. Can't wait for that show again. Yeah. Okay. So, for example, 224-165 Cal BP translates to 224 to 165 before 1950, which corresponds to Cal. Okay. All right. I see.
Pretty cool.
All right. That makes sense. Thank you.
We're going to impress our friends one day with this knowledge, everybody.
You're going to go tell your wife.
Yeah.
Honey, guess what I did? Did you know that? All right. Well, if you can't dazzle them with diamonds, you can show them the education. Right? All right. Tom Burns, Seth Bridges, thank you guys very much for joining us here tonight. I appreciate you very much. And hopefully you guys will be here with us next week when we look to see what they found in RP2 and what they found in the swamp that got them so excited. And again, I'm really hoping we find out about that bowl with that maker's mark on it.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. And we thank all of you for being here with us tonight very much. And if you like the content of the show we did here for you tonight, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up. That always is nice to see. Lots of thumbs up. If we had well over 300 people watching tonight, we should have 300 thumbs up, right? Well,
yeah,
never seems to work out that way. But anyway, thank you guys for being with us. And again, join us tomorrow night for Eric Bard and Pete Kelsey from Skinwalker Ranch. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And with that, we'll say good night. And thanks for watching right here on the J Free 906 podcast.
Thanks, Jan. Time soon now.
Yep.